In eastern Washington, deputies swiftly snapped steel cuffs around Rain Brown's wrists. In an instant, the vibrant spirit of Alaskan Bush People became the latest inmate, booked on charges of burglary and malicious mischief, alongside her new husband, Josiah Lorton. Fans were stunned. How did the kind, scripture-quoting daughter land behind bars? What unseen storm carried her from forest refuge to a fluorescent cell block? The verdict is coming, and early signs suggest it's grim. Rumors of a brewing storm raced across fan forums. Could Rain truly be arrested? Many refused to believe it. But the booking sheet didn't flinch. On Christmas, Catherine Raindrop Brown, known simply as Rain, was officially listed, charged with first-degree burglary, first-degree malicious mischief, and second-degree criminal trespass. Between her glowing 2025 Instagram wedding post and the stark April 11 court paperwork, the youngest daughter of Discovery Channel's grittiest clan had crossed a legal boundary no one expected. What most viewers never saw was how remote North Star Ranch truly is. Built after a wildfire destroyed their first homestead, the Washington property became Billy Brown's final vision, a place where his 7 children could heal, raise grandchildren, and stay connected to the Alaskan wild. Since then, each Brown sibling has honored that dream. Gabe planted apple trees, Noah built a solar water system, Bear carved trails for his kids. Rain, once seen joyfully splitting logs on camera, had grown quiet. Off-screen, she posted grateful messages quoting psalms beside puppy selfies. But after Billy's death and the 2022 cancellation of their show, her online presence turned cryptic. In February 2024, she posted, "When the sky breaks, it breaks you first." Fans grew concerned, though many chalked it up to grief. No one foresaw burglary charges lighting up courthouse databases. The details of what happened in that closed lakeside cabin near Tonasket remain sealed in a confidential affidavit. Investigators alleged forced entry, shattered antique windows, and over $25,000 in property damage. Supporters claimed the cabin was semi-abandoned and that Rain only entered to recover documents owed to her. A rumor spread that the property belonged to her former manager, the same one she accused of stealing $43,000. Whatever the case, her arrest shook the wilderness brand Billy had spent years building. Discovery Channel released a brief statement, "We are monitoring developments." Sponsors halted promotions. Tabloids pounced, declaring it the death knell of the Bush family's wholesome image. Meanwhile, Rain and Josiah sat in county jail, bowed under flickering lights, the air thick with bleach and regret. Online, opinions split. Some defended Rain, citing her faith-filled posts as proof she meant no harm. Others resurfaced clips of her defying Billy's rules, arguing that years of repressed rebellion had finally erupted. Still others suggested a more complex reality: grief, fame, and financial strain can distort judgment just as polar nights distort time. On April 14th, the couple walked free on personal recognizance. But the damage to Rain's public image felt lasting, like a crack in river ice that never quite seals. TikTok became a battleground. Emotional edits of Rain's campfire songs clashed with mocking memes of a cartoon bear behind bars. A Change.org petition demanding that Discovery finance her legal defense drew 10,000 signatures within a day. Just as many fans quietly unsubscribed, muttering that the Browns had outstayed their welcome. After the final reruns aired in late 2022, the family's narrative had already begun to fade. For many, this was the messy conclusion. Long before criminal charges and handcuffs, Rain Brown's world was rooted in wilderness. Born in November 2002, she was the youngest spark in Billy and Amy Brown's 7-child clan. She was raised not with lullabies but with the hum of chainsaws and the crunch of moss-covered logs in Alaska's misty fjords. Discovery Channel found the Browns when Rain was just 11. Producers expected survivalist grit, but discovered a complex love story between family and the land. Alaskan Bush People premiered in May 2014, and Rain's gap-toothed grin quickly symbolized innocence. She chopped kindling larger than herself, spoke with poetic flair, and offered whispered prayers in silent moments. Viewers saw her as the heart of the show, a child who refused to curse even when frostbitten. She once repurposed flannel scraps into doll clothes, believing every thread deserved a second chance beneath the moonlight. But fame has its weight. Filming schedules replaced seasons. Privacy vanished faster than creek steam on a fire grate. While peers shared prom selfies, Rain shared footage of dragging elk quarters through sleet. She insisted she didn't mind, until 2018, when an Instagram post read, "Some days the mud feels ankle-deep in my soul." Tensions brewed. She requested store-bought makeup. She fought trolls accusing the family of faking it. Some whispered she might leave for college. Billy believed hardship built character. Amy, battling lung cancer, believed faith overcame despair. Rain was caught between them, trying to find her own way. She saw Matt and Joshua struggle with addiction and media attention. She watched Bertie contemplate a surgery that could threaten motherhood. She saw producers demand more drama each season. Over time, the line between reality and performance blurred, until even sharing a sunrise began to feel staged. When Billy died in February 2021, the show lost its anchor. Ratings fell. Discovery slashed budgets. By the end of season 14 in 2022, the series quietly ended. At 19, Rain was suddenly navigating life without a film crew that had doubled as her peers. She posted a farewell under a photo of snow-covered Browntown cabin. Many assumed she was heading for city life. Instead, she followed her family north, to Washington's Okanagan Highlands, to help rebuild North Star Ranch. Off-grid dreams come with steep costs. Insurance barely covered the fire damage. Rerun royalties dried up. Deals once worth $500,000 per episode disappeared. By late 2023, Rain was waitressing at a rustic diner near Chelan. There, she met head chef Josiah Lorton, a tattooed, quick-witted cook known for blessing every plate before it hit the table. They connected over hymns and hash browns. Within months, they were inseparable, carving their initials into ponderosa bark, vowing to never exchange simplicity for cynicism. Now those promises face a harsh test, in a courtroom far from the quiet forests where their romance bloomed. After her shifts, Rain would swap her apron for boots, where Josiah often waited outside with berry tea. They'd drive down dusty backroads until they lost signal, park, and sit on the tailgate of a truck, swapping childhood stories. He shared tales of Kentucky cold country. She spoke of sled dogs howling under auroras. For someone raised with cameras, the quiet felt like breathing again. Josiah, just 23, had grown up in the chaotic restaurant world, earning head chef status early but already exhausted by 12-hour days. He admired Rain's frontier resilience. She admired his grace with difficult tourists demanding gluten-free elk chili. By Christmas 2023, their relationship became public. Rain's Instagram post overflowed with nicknames: My Angel, My Healer, My Home, My Forever. Some fans swooned. Others questioned the pace. But Rain's heart, shaped by years of wilderness labor, had decided it had waited long enough for gentleness. The engagement came on a fog-slick pier overlooking Lake Challen. Josiah carved a ring box from fallen pine, inlaid with an opal he'd mined on a Utah vacation. Rain said yes before he finished asking. They recorded no video, posted no stories. Only when the ring glitter showed in a January selfie did fans piece it together. That same night, she typed goodbye forever in a reply to a troll who claimed she'd sold out. Few realized the phrase signaled shedding one identity for another. Marriage vows followed 3 weeks later inside a log chapel near Wenatchee. Amy read Corinthians. Noah played acoustic guitar, and a local pastor spoke gently of forgiveness. Absent were camera crews, Discovery executives, or glossy tabloid exclusives. The ceremony belonged to them alone, until a spectator leaked blurry photos to a gossip blog. Within hours, #RainBrownWedding trended. Offers for paid interviews poured in. All politely declined. Rain insisted, love doesn't need a sponsor. But love needs money, and North Star Ranch still hemorrhaged cash. Snowbird's vet bills for rescue animals climbed. Court fees for Matt's rehab spiked. Land tax arrears loomed. Rain and Josiah developed a plan, renovate a disused lakeside cabin into a faith-based retreat kitchen, where Josiah could teach bush cuisine and Rain could sell handcrafted soaps. Negotiations for the lease dragged. Paperwork vanished into someone's cluttered desk. Privately, Rain kept a leather journal where she weighed every decision against 2 lingering ghosts: her father's credo, live free or die, and her own fear of letting fans down. The journal entry from April 10th, later leaked to TMZ, read, "If this cabin falls through, we'll plant vegetables in buckets, we'll cook over alderwood, we'll sing louder. Just keep believing." Those lines now echo through court filings like trapped birds. On April 11th, they drove to the cabin carrying measuring tapes and cleaning supplies. By sunset, they were under arrest, romance colliding head-on with reality. So what happened that night of the arrest? Deputy Carlos Herrera's body camera footage begins at 1942, fading in on broken glass across a hardwood floor. The cabin's front window had been smashed inward, shards scattered between spruce needle piles and a tipped-over rain barrel. Rain Brown stands near the hearth, hands raised, palms trembling. Josiah kneels by an antique buffet, photographing cracked porcelain knobs. A neighbor's 911 call had reported loud banging and voices arguing about money. "Ma'am, step outside," Herrera orders. Rain complies, glancing once toward a framed landscape ruptured by a jagged hole. Outside, twilight hangs heavy. Backup cruiser lights paint the pines red and blue. Rain tries to explain that they have permission to assess the property, that her former manager quit answering emails. Herrera recites Miranda rights while another deputy, Singh, notes pry marks on the doorframe. In the patrol car, Rain whispers scripture, "The Lord is my refuge." Josiah stares ahead, jaw clenched. The booking at Okanagan County Jail moves quickly: digital fingerprints, mug shots, confiscation of a multi-tool and a bottle of anointing oil. Charge sheets list first-degree burglary, first-degree malicious mischief, and, for Rain alone, second-degree trespass. Bail, none required. The magistrate trusts their local ties. Still, locked steel doors slam behind them for 68 uneasy hours. The media caught wind before sunrise. A dispatcher's cousin texted a blogger. By 6 a.m., TMZ published the mug shots beside snarky captions, "Alaskan Bush People meet County Bush League." Security footage later released shows Rain pacing her cell barefoot, reciting lyrics from Carrie Joe between silent tears. Detectives photographed every shattered relic inside the cabin: Civil War tintypes, Depression-era mason jars, a solitary cuckoo clock Rain swears was hanging crooked long before she entered. Damage tally, $27,480. The alleged owner, former manager Ellis McGowan, claimed sentimental losses beyond calculation, accusing Rain of trying to destroy contract evidence. He forwarded an email thread referencing unpaid royalties and final verdict negotiations from 2024. Insurance agents circled like ravens. At 14:03 on April 14, detention officers unlocked Rain's cell. She thanked them, gathered her worn denim jacket, and stepped into milky spring sunlight. Reporters lined the sidewalk. "Rain, did you do it?" someone shouted. She paused, met the lens, and said only, "Judge not lest you be judged." Then she climbed into Josiah's pickup, the door shutting with a hollow thud that sounded to some listeners like the first note of a long, uncertain trial. In holding, Rain shared a cell with a schoolteacher arrested for unpaid parking tickets. The woman told reporters Rain spent 2 nights sketching mountains on scrap napkins, promising to mail the drawings once free. During the video arraignment, Amy watched from North Star Ranch, her hand resting on Billy's photo. She mouthed "Stay strong" as the judge set the next hearing for late June, warning any violation would revoke their release. Lies ignited a firestorm. The internet runs on conflict, and Rain's arrest poured gasoline on a flame already licking her fandom's edges. Within days, the hashtag final verdict Rain trended alongside show clips sliced to imply foreshadowing. TikTok lawyers dissected Washington burglary statutes, claiming life sentences were possible. Context was scarce. Hysteria, plentiful. On April 19, Rain opened Instagram and saw comment sections dividing like cracked ice. Some called her a modern Jezebel, others typed hugs. She posted a white square quoting Matthew 7, "Judge not lest ye be judged." Beneath, she wrote, "It hurts my heart that my rainbows believe lies from someone who stole $43,000 from me." That someone was Ellis McGowan, once hailed as the marketing savant who secured brand deals for the Browns. Rain alleged McGowan forged her signature on endorsements, siphoning royalties meant for ranch repairs. She claimed she confronted him, he retaliated with slander and ultimately the 911 call. McGowan's lawyers fired back, framing Rain as spiteful over audits. They leaked an email where she threatened, "Return what you stole or the mountain will speak." Cable anchors chuckled. But detectives followed the money. Us Weekly obtained bank documents showing $42,937 transferred from a Rain Brown LLC account to McGowan's consultancy in 2024. Memo line, ad spend. Whether spending occurred remains unverified. Meanwhile, Rain's brother Bam Bam hinted at deeper corruption during a stream. Certain people wanted the Browns off their land so developers could buy cheap. Conspiracy theories mushroomed. Was the cabin raid a setup to discredit Rain before a property battle? While speculation spiraled, Rain retreated to North Star Ranch, invoking a media fast. Josiah installed motion sensors. Bertie prayed on the porch. Gabe composed minor key riffs drifting across the ridge. Family unity looked like a storybook from afar, but insiders whispered tension. Some siblings feared more negative press might jeopardize future documentary pitches. Netflix had reportedly sniffed around for a revival, but executives now went silent. Civil attorneys urged Rain to settle quietly, pay restitution, sign a non-disclosure, and walk away. Pride pushed back. She filed a counterclaim alleging defamation and emotional distress, demanding McGowan apologize publicly. Negotiations collapsed. By May 1st, the docket listed Rain Brown versus Ellis McGowan, a parallel battlefield to the criminal case. Supporters remained loud. They organized prayer circles, sold Rain innocent hoodies, and raised $5,000 for legal fees. Yet every headline echoed the same words, "Not good." With each click, the pressure on prosecutors to reach a decisive final verdict grew heavier, threatening to crush whatever piece Rain managed to salvage on her rugged hilltop. Courtroom whispers. Rain arrived for her preliminary hearing wearing a navy blazer borrowed from Amy. Josiah stood beside her in a thrift store suit, a wooden cross tucked behind his lapel. The gallery teemed with reporters and a sprinkling of locals hoping for a small-town spectacle. Judge Marisol Keating, stoic, glasses perched low, called the session to order with a sharp rap of the gavel. Prosecutor D.N.E. Mullins outlined the state's case, forced entry using a pry bar, malicious shattering of antiques, motive tied to missing financial records, aggravated factor of nighttime intrusion. He recommended a plea bargain, admit guilt to second-degree burglary, serve 24 months, pay restitution. Defense counsel Lionel Ruiz countered, no burglary, only a contract dispute, no intent to steal, but only to retrieve what was owed. Ruiz handed the bench a binder labeled McGowan fraud, evidence including spreadsheets of missing royalties and unsigned contracts. Keating flipped through the pages but warned the binder's contents were civil matters, not excuses for trespass. Still, she agreed to set evidentiary hearings where Rain's claims may mitigate her intent. A summer trial window opened, July 21st to 25th for jury selection, July 28th for opening statements. Rain's face tightened as the dates were read aloud. Josiah squeezed her elbow gently. Outside, cameras converged on the courthouse doors. Ruiz addressed them briefly, "We will prove our client acted to protect her livelihood, not to commit a crime." Legal analysts flooded podcasts with hot takes. Some argue the jury pool would sympathize with a reality TV underdog fighting corporate betrayal. Others pointed out that Washington's burglary law doesn't require theft, only intent to commit any crime inside the building, including malicious mischief. Life imprisonment is theoretically possible, but a first-time offender would usually receive less than 5 years. Still, headlines screamed life in prison, stoking hysteria online. Meanwhile, rain clouds gathered, literally. June storms pounded North Star Ranch, complicating preparation. Siblings debated selling another parcel to cover costs. Bertie suggested crowdfunding. Bear balked, fearing more public scrutiny. Amy called a family meeting, opening Billy's journal and reading aloud, "The truth will walk out of the woods." The phrase made the room go still. Yet under the stillness, unease simmered. Late one night, Ruiz emailed Rain a spreadsheet estimating possible outcomes, acquittal, probation, or imprisonment until 2030. In the margins she typed, worst case, 5 to 7 years. Not good but survivable with credit for good behavior. Rain stared at the words not good. They felt chiseled into stone. She shut her laptop and prayed for daylight, her Bible open beside her like a lifeboat. During recess, supporters waved cardboard signs reading "Free the Bush Baby" outside. Drone footage captured the small rally and raced across Twitter within minutes, reigniting furious debates about guilt, fame, and justice. Each click added another stone to the mountain Rain would have to climb. Family under fire. The Browns have weathered blizzards, bear raids, and television cancellation, but nothing fractured them like Rain's pending trial. Amy assembled her children around the ranch's fire pit one moonless night, the same circle where Billy once preached resilience. Sparks spiraled upward as each sibling spoke, voices cracking under the weight. Gabe admitted he'd mortgaged his truck to help cover legal retainers. Bear confessed to selling digital rights to his wildlife photos for a cash advance. Bertie battled insomnia, fearing paparazzi might photograph her surgical scars. Noah, ever the inventor, designed rudimentary phone jammers to block drones from buzzing overhead. Bam Bam kept his camera shutter silent, documenting with his eyes instead of lenses, uncertain whether to sell the images later or bury them deep. Matt, estranged yet sober, phoned from California. "Little sis, if judges can't see your heart, the world's broken," he said. His voice crackled with static but sincerity. He promised to testify to Rain's character if needed. The gesture thawed years of frost between siblings. Rain wiped tears away with a shaky hand. Josiah pulled her close, and Amy closed the circle with prayer. For a fleeting moment, unity outshone fear. The outside world, however, saw only opportunity. Tabloids published absurd stories, composite sketches of Billy frowning from the clouds above a courthouse. A podcast alleged the Browns staged the burglary for attention. Discovery Channel denied involvement, but rumors stuck like burrs. Brands that once courted them ghosted their emails. One energy bar company even demanded the return of 5,000 promotional samples. Lawyers advised silence, but silence creates a vacuum, and vacuums suck in speculation. Amy authorized a single interview with regional radio host Carla Dean. Her voice trembled but stayed steady. "My daughter is not a thief. She's a survivor." The broadcast exploded online. Supportive calls flooded in, but so did threats. One man promised to burn down North Star Ranch. Law enforcement traced the threat out of state, but the damage lingered like smoke. Financial walls continued crumbling. Insurance premiums skyrocketed due to past fire damage. Rain's countersuit required expert witnesses, each costing thousands. Bam Bam proposed licensing old footage to educational platforms. Noah suggested selling a solar water purification system he developed. Bear offered guided survival weekends, though insurers balked at the liability. Every idea felt like trying to plug leaks in a sinking ship. Still, in dark corners of the internet, a different story took root: Rain Brown, folk hero. Animated shorts depicted her swinging an axe against greedy suits, superimposing the phrase "final verdict coming soon" over roaring campfires. Whether such narratives would sway a jury was unknown, but they fueled morale across the windswept ranch. At sunset, Birdie and Rain knelt side by side to light a fresh beacon fire. Its smoke curled into the endless sky. Beneath the weight of uncertainty, Rain leaned into Josiah, whispering, "No matter what comes, we don't lose each other." The family understood now. Rain's trial would test not just her innocence but the very spirit of everything Billy Brown built. Survival was no longer about chopping wood or hunting elk. Survival meant standing tall when everything else cracked under pressure. Guilty without a verdict. The frost clinging to the North Star Ridge hadn't melted, but Rain Brown felt stripped raw already, not by courtrooms, not by prosecutors, but by something far colder: the world outside. She barely checked her phone anymore. Every swipe showed another headline: Bush baby betrayal. Final verdict coming. Rain Brown's not-so-innocent wilderness life. News anchors who once praised her survival skills now traded jokes about mug shots. Former fans cropped her face out of family photos online, even childhood friends she hadn't seen in years posted sly digs. Discovery Channel issued no defense. Netflix declined to comment. Sponsors quietly erased her name from marketing campaigns. Rain realized she hadn't just been arrested, she had been erased. Worse still, whispered threats stirred the air. A deputy close to the case hinted new charges could still come if investigators uncovered more property disputes tied to the alleged burglary. Rain's legal team warned her, "The police aren't finished. You could still face civil suits or worse." Behind the thick pine walls of North Star Ranch, the Browns huddled close. Gabe sharpened knives silently. Bam Bam paced the porch at night. Josiah installed extra locks on every cabin door. A letter came from Rain's old manager's lawyers, demanding a public apology or risk facing $1 million defamation lawsuit. It wasn't just the court that loomed anymore, it was an invisible noose tightening day by day. At the heart of it all, Rain fought a war no one could see. One moment she was furious, convinced the truth would clear her name. The next, shame crushed her lungs until she could barely breathe. Was this what Billy had warned them about, the day when the outside world came crashing down on their isolated dream? One April afternoon, her lawyers called a private meeting in the bunkhouse. Rain sat at the cracked kitchen table, Josiah gripping her hand under the surface. "We have to be honest with you," her lead attorney said gently. "Even if you win the criminal case, even if you're acquitted, Rain, your reputation may never recover." Those words struck harder than any headline. It wasn't about evidence anymore, it was about perception, about the final verdict millions had already handed down without waiting for judges or juries. After the meeting, Rain slipped outside alone. She thought about the promises she had made standing barefoot on frozen earth as a little girl, to live free, to live good, to live unseen by the poisonous noise of the outside world. Now the noise had found her. The official courtroom verdict hadn't come yet, but in the real world, the final verdict had already landed. And for Rain Brown, it wasn't good. What's your take on Rain Brown's situation? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more exclusive updates.